I've just watched the first 4 episodes of Andor, and it's different, all right, both in a very good way, but also in a not so good way, which pains me because this was the Star Wars show I felt I could really get behind, and maybe I still can. I'm not pulling another Moon Knight. We got 8 more episodes of this show to go, but I'm a little nervous after having watched the first 4. So it's definitely, what's the good way? So how is it different in a good way? Well, it's definitely the most adult show on Disney Plus to date. Point blank murder. In fact, lots of characters get killed like a real action movie, like a action movie with consequences. Nobody's fallen onto an awning or into the water here. And implied sex scenes. I mean, they go as far as I've ever seen a Star Wars movie or show go. And I have to say, overall, I find this quite refreshing because it's a change of pace for what we've been seeing on Disney Plus. And Disney Plus, which a lot of us have been like, whoa, that's a lot of vanilla. I think, as Disney Plus aggressively pumps out content, they need a little variation. And so to finally have an adult show on here, on this streaming service, and in the world of Star Wars, is exactly what we were looking for from Tony Gilroy after Rogue One. But it's also the first Disney Plus Star Wars or Marvel show to have pretty much 0 Easter eggs. I mean, someone's like, hey, there's something going on in Scarif. But that's like it in the first 4 episodes. And I think that will really hurt its reach in fan circles and on social media because there isn't anything to really talk about or get excited about when it comes to big picture, the franchise as a whole. It's so crazy to me that Disney in both the Marvel and now clearly the Star Wars divisions doesn't understand the importance of Easter eggs. I mean, help me help you, help me do my job. I mean, this kind of discussion, the fan reaction and speculation and fan theories is what has made this new kind of blockbuster leave all of their content in the dust because of the conversations it's able to generate. And the fact that Hollywood seems unaware of that, because, you have the same problem over with DC that Warner Brothers is trying to build, and I think also a little bit with Harry Potter, is incredible to me. That they would just so not know their own product and why it's been so successful. Kevin Feige, I thought knew it, but yet how do you explain the lack of Easter eggs on She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel? It should be a mandate. I mean, I can understand some creatives being like, I don't want to do that. And I'd be like, tough! You want to play in my sandbox? You play with my rules. There's chunks in this sand, and they're Easter eggs. Why else would we dig in the sand? I think they don't understand the content, and I think they don't understand the people who enjoy it. And that's always been a problem for Hollywood. You have people who don't understand and in some cases are disdainful of the consumer. And it's ridiculous. All right, so anyway, as I said, this is only the first 4 episodes. Maybe there's a meteor shower of Easter eggs coming up. Although, how do you not put your best foot forward in the first 4? And as I said, also, I don't want this to be a Moon Knight situation where, it really came together in the end, which all streaming service shows seem to do, as we've made a joke of. It's really difficult to get to the end, but, the journey was worth it because there was an amazing tease for the next journey. And you're like, but what about this journey? You know the cycle, and it's vicious. All right, so what are the stats? Andor drops this coming Wednesday. We're back to Wednesdays with She-Hulk staying on Thursdays, but September 21st with the first 3 episodes. And the review embargo, as usual for Disney Plus content, is the day before release. I will break these first 3 episodes down, but I have to tell you, because when I was watching, I was like, you're giving me nothing, Star Wars. So I'll have to do it like I do with my Game of Thrones House of the Dragon breakdowns, where we talk more about what's happening in the show and like story and character arcs and stuff like that, rather than any big picture stuff for the franchise. So, I'm having a lot of fun breaking down House of the Dragon with you, but also we can talk about the books too to some degree. But here there's just nothing to talk about besides what's in front of us. And that's really weird for this type of show. I'm like, this is weird. It's really weird. It's very, very jarring. So I'm not going to lie, I had a thought of like, how am I going to cover 12 episodes of this? I mean, I really honestly was like, this is going to be tough. But let's see what your interest is. Let's see. Some of you might be like, I think it's delightful, Grace. And then I'll be like, fantastic. But I gotta tell you, so far, it's not everything I'd hoped for. It's a little bit of what I've hoped for, but it's not everything I hoped for. So also, I don't see how they couldn't have dropped 3 episodes to start. Originally, this was supposed to be a weekly release, and they were going to do 1 episode a week. So imagine my surprise when I got the first 4 episodes, and the first 2 are only around 30 minutes. And I'm like, you were going to drop just 30 minutes? And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, that would have been a huge mistake. So there's been a lot of speculation as to why they decided to delay the beginning of Andor and do 3 episodes at once. And having now seen the first 4 episodes, I don't see any other path forward. I don't know if people would have gotten to episode 3. I think it's still going to be tough for you to get to episode 3 with dropping them all at once. So 1 and 2 are about 30 minutes, and then 3 and 4 are in the 40-minute range, which is like more what we expect. Now, the opening of episode 1 is amazing. And the end of episode 3 is also, oh my God, amazing. Oh, so good. In between, though, I gotta tell you, I can't believe it. I actually got bored. I actually found myself on my phone watching Star Wars. I know, a show that I have been super excited about, based on a movie, a prequel to a movie that is my favorite Star Wars film. But I got bored, and I, in fact, stopped watching after 2 episodes. I was like, I'm going to take a break, and I was scared. I was like, I'm disappointed that this isn't exactly what I hoped for, and I'm scared it's not going to get better. So I came back to episode 3, and I was like, oh, this is better. And then episode 4 got kind of boring again. I'm not, no spoilers, but they are talking about doing something in episode 4, and I was like, you better do this episode. And of course they didn't, and I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? One funny thing I will say is that they have tech here, Star Wars tech, and they're like, oh, they're reading it. They're like, oh, I see it lists this here, or this is clearly a map. And I'm like, that just looks like garbledy-gook to me. There's no way you're getting that detail from what you're looking at. But I think it's funny for the actors. They're very convincing. They're like, oh, yes, I can totally read this and see what I'm looking at. And I'm like, it's so bare bones and like such crazy technology. It's like, I guess it's abstract art, but as technology. And you're like, oh, yes, I see it. And you're like, this is nuts that all that information is supposed to be in that simplistic drawing. All right, so anyway. Now, everyone has been saying, including me, that Andor is very exciting because, like with Rogue One, Tony Gilroy is going to bring sophistication to Star Wars, adult themes, and adult stories. But Andor, again, at least so far, is very tedious in between those great moments. It reminds me actually of the prequels, and I know some of you today will defend the prequels to your dying breath. But, remember we would have to listen to Senate discussions. They'd be like, well, let's talk about this. And you'd be like, we're going to stick around for this whole conversation? And they're like, yep. I mean, the famous saying in screenwriting, you start a scene as late as possible and you end it as early as possible. You get in and you get out, unless you're having some amazing acting moments. But here you're like, I don't know if I want to sit through this whole meeting. But I had to. I mean, it's fun to watch people get chewed out at work, right? Especially when Anton Lesser is doing his best Mr. Burns impression. But there's no force choking. There's no force choking or lightsaber slashing. So that makes those boardroom meetings a lot less fun. And maybe I think that's part of the problem, because at least so far there's no Jedi, there's no Sith, and there was only one alien briefly. It's just humans in space with paperwork. And you're like, okay, I guess let's try it. I mean, I think, obviously this is supposed to be the beginning of the rebellion, but in the first 4 episodes, I guess the beginning of the rebellion would be kind of boring if you were going to watch it unfold in real time. But, I think this seems to be a tougher story to tell than we and Tony Gilroy anticipated. Of the human cast, I think Kyle Soller will probably be the fan favorite in the first 4 episodes. In fact, I'm almost sure of it. I also have a lot to say about Stellan Skarsgård and, of course, star Diego Luna, but I'll wait for my review and, of course, when we can have a spoiler discussion after you've seen the first 3 episodes in my breakdown. A question I want to ask here, though, is whether or not Star Wars as a franchise can sustain all this content. That is a thought I also had while watching this show. Mando was brilliant because it was a live-action continuation of the fan-favorite animated shows, and Grogu. Grogu is, everybody loves an adorable baby. And then also Mando is a variation on the wildly popular Boba Fett, to such a degree that the original character was left with nowhere to go, which became very evident when he got his own spin-off. And it only got good when it turned into Mando season 2.5. and brought in other stuff from, the animated, Dave Filoni's animated run. Obi-Wan worked because he and Darth Vader are characters we just want to spend more time with and learn more about, no matter what the quality of that time is. And also, while I didn't enjoy it at first because it was a bait and switch, I came to having some appreciation for learning more about Leia through seeing her as a child. I actually kind of ended up liking that. But after Andor, we've got Tales of the Jedi, The Bad Batch Season 2, Mando Season 3, Ahsoka, but we definitely need Ahsoka. Skeleton Crew, The Acolyte, although I like the casting on Acolyte. That interests me. I mean, of those, I don't know. Separately, I guess they're all exciting, but I just don't think Star Wars can handle this much content. I don't think it has that kind of depth as a franchise. Like, what will happen when the movies finally come back online? Who knows when that's going to be? Today it was revealed that Rogue Squadron is not coming out, which I told you, anyone could have known it. Who are they kidding? I guess Patty Jenkins will go sit next to Rian Johnson and be like, maybe. You don't know. You can't know for sure our movies aren't ever going to come out. And we're like, we kind of do. But anyway, is there an appetite for constant Star Wars? Even Marvel fans, which are dealing with the universe with much more depth and nuance and, different flavors, they're starting to feel choked as well. And that's happening over at Marvel. So I just don't know how Star Wars can sustain this. How can the movies seem bigger and worth going to the theater rather than waiting for Disney Plus? Like, how much range is there in Star Wars, especially when Industrial Light and Magic stagecraft technology allows the Disney Plus Star Wars shows to be movie level? Andor is movie level. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I can't believe the set. I can't believe how far that goes. That's incredible. I can't believe we're going to see this much. That's really cool. But one has to wonder if Bob Chapek has Pixar'd Star Wars as well, and that there won't be anybody left to watch these movies, and everyone will just wait for it to come to the streaming service. Part of me also feels that Andor's 12 episodes alone might be too much, and that Tony Gilroy, as talented as he is a writer first and needed to be reined in. Someone should have said, I don't think you have 12 episodes worth of story, Tony. I mean, at least so far, based on the incredibly slow rate that this story is progressing. A few flashes of brilliance, and there are definite flashes of brilliance, are not enough, especially with no Easter eggs. I think that's just a real problem for this show. We'll talk more about it on Tuesday when my review drops and the embargo lifts, and of course on Wednesday when you've finally seen the first 3 episodes as well. Just get a good snack. Get something that's going to help you power through this, because it's worth it. Again, the end of episode 3 is phenomenal. Like, wow. Like Rogue One level good. But it's a chore to get there. But anyway, we'll do a deep dive in my breakdown, because there are some things I really want to point out. Because again, I said there are some brilliant moments. But for now, share your thoughts and your expectations, especially now that you have this new information. Subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.